Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this weekly webinar on under the banner East African Field Schools Hub. We will be sharing a lot today on agroecology and agrobiodiversity. And we will kindly request you, because since we will be many, kindly introduce yourself in the chat box, your name, where you are coming from, and any other details that we need to know. And then towards the end of the presentation, we will give you the opportunity to raise any question, or alternatively, you can also put it in the chat box so that we do not really interrupt the presenter. We still request you to mute your videos and microphone while the presenter is doing his presentation. But when we get to the plenary, the question and answer, we will give you the opportunity to unmute. So thank you so much. Without further ado, allow me to officially ask Mr. Max Olupot to welcome us to this webinar, and then we invite the presenter for today. Thank you, Mr. Max.
Asante sana bwana, ni karibu vyote. This is one of our unique webinars where we're talking about agroecology and field schools. So I want to welcome all of you. And just to start by saying, agroecology of recent has started to be one of the, again, catchwords. When you go to the development fraternity, everyone is talking about agroecology. It seems to be a transition from what we've been talking about, organic agriculture, climate smart agriculture, and the rest of the things. And of course, bearing in mind the issues of ecosystem and the current discussions on the food systems, the UN food systems discussion. So we are privileged that we have our brother who we've been engaging with. He made a number of presentations previously. So we're really delighted again that, Ruben, you were able to give us this time to share your insights, but also experience in terms of the agroecology and farm field schools. Without wasting a lot of time, I want to welcome all of us to the East Africa Field School Hub Wednesday webinar. And as we've agreed, these are now bi-weekly. So this is one of the Wednesdays that we come together as a family of field schools in Africa and also globally. So I want now to hand over back to Edwin to moderate these sessions. Then we shall definitely come back. But we welcome our very important guests always who are standing with us in terms of championing field schools in Africa and globally. The personalities of James Okoth and others. So karibu sana, and over to you, Edwin.
Thank you so much, Max. Well, straight to Mr. Chumba. Maybe you can put your video again. We see your face while we load the presentation. Kindly introduce yourself, Mr. Chumba, and proceed.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. We can, but we can't. We want to see you.
There is a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Now,
very well.
Okay, thank you. My name's Ruben Chumba. I come to this forum as an agroecologist, but more so I'm a public servant in Vihiga County of Kenya. We have had an interaction with this forum before. I want to thank you so much for the invitation. Last time we were talking about farmer field schools in relation to things like mushrooms, production, African leafy vegetables. And today I'm here again, privileged, courtesy of Edwin and Mr. Okot, to do this presentation on behalf of a number of partners. As you might see there on the screen, agroecology is about partnership, and we have the Alliance for Biodiversity International, we have the CIAT, we have the CGIAR, most of you are familiar with it. We have ISFA. ISFA is the domicile here in Kenya, brings us all together in the area of agroecology. We have JICA, we have CropLife, and we have the county government of Vihiga. All of us are partnering, collaborating in the area of agroecology to promote this new field. Is not really new, but somehow it is being harnessed to take over from organic farming to address issues of climate change. If you look at Vihiga County, where we want to pilot an agroecological intervention, is a small county. If you look at that map, agroecology in Vihiga is basically talking of 2 agroecological zones, Upper Midlands, Lower Highland in Vihiga County. This is one of the smallest counties in Kenya, in Western Kenya. The smallest will be Lamu in coast, but here we have a very high density population of 1,105 persons per square kilometer. It could be one of the highest in the region, if not Kenya. The entire region, East Africa, this is a very high population density. We have about 143,365 farm families whom we want to focus in this topic today of agroecology. Agroecology is actually an interface between agriculture and environment. Many of us here may be familiar with the agroecology. We only need to remind ourselves that as we do diversify our production systems, we are now talking of agrobiodiversity. It's an important role in production, landscapes, and remains threatened, undervalued, and rejected because of our failure to isolate it as a discipline on its own. We have ways in which you want to promote regenerative agriculture so as to provide nutrition and allow farmers to adapt to climate change. Agroecology is actually a set of agricultural practices and focuses on changing social relations, empowering farmers, adding value to locally produced material, goods, raw materials, and targeting short value chains. So here we are trying to provide a sustainable agricultural concept or a concept on sustainable agriculture. If we practice agroecology, it has been said that we can double food production within 10 years while mitigating the effects of climate change and alleviating poverty at the same time. If you look at that screen there, we have this field school in Vihiga, Mudete area. This field school recently graduated. It is been supported by FAO. Those are vegetable farmers clustering around an agroecology idea of agroforestry, soil conservation, ALV production, and value addition later. If you go to the next screen, you will find that we are we are asking ourselves, we are asking you as a partner, why agroecology in Vihiga? There is a high and increasing population density, which I have mentioned. There is an increasing rural-urban migration due to this. Then we have no choice other than to resort to peri-urban farming. Due to loss of diversity in our diets, that is directly linked to health risk factors like malnutrition and obesity, we have to practice agroecology. The climate change crisis has not been any better. It has now renewed a focus on agroecology. There are several opportunities in Vihiga if you may want to find out why we are emphasizing for agroecology in Vihiga. We have talked about value addition. There's intercropping going on at large scale. I mean, at whole scale, farm scale. We have this agroforestry. We have water harvesting practices. We have aquaponics. We have mushrooms, which I initially had an opportunity to talk about earlier. We have this neighboring farmers, or each farm neighboring the other farmer has a role to play in conserving the ecosystem of the next farmer. That's why we want to do this controlled and regenerative agriculture, where there is no pollution, where we conserve our soil and we protect our water from pollution. Next, please. Through agrobiodiversity and ALV seed banks, we are promoting these pollinators. We have this transmission of knowledge, which is intensive through co-creation. I will mention that later. Next, please. We have several opportunities for partnerships, and that's why we are very encouraged with a meeting like today, where we can also increase our net, our scope, we can draw into partnerships. Already we have this CGIR I mentioned, Biodiversity International, ISFA, FAO, JICA, Pelum Kenya, CropLife International, Mother Earth Network. This is a conglomeration of Catholic priests. We have these maize foods who do value addition to our products, and host a very big list of farmers and individuals who are producing various crops and shrubs, including ALVs, bamboos in this county. We have collaborators in the form of the Environment Ministry, Energy and Natural Resources. We have the Ministry Department of Public Health and Nutrition. We have research organizations, local research organizations like CALRO. We have the Department of Trade and Industry, and we have also the Department of Urban and Economic Planning. All these are partners and give us an opportunity for collaboration. If you look at those pictures, those are just example snapshots of a dual purpose retention ditch that can serve as an aqua pond. It can conserve soil and it can retain water. It can provide nutrients for the banana plantation, for a real agroecological mix there. We have these partners who assist us in capacity building, like JICA. You can see the picture on your right there. We have this the field school demonstrating on this kitchen gardens that they maximize on space. Next, please. Next slide. We have several, 3 or so departments whom we are coming together to form the initial cohort of the departments that will drive agroecology agenda forward. And in agriculture, we have technical working groups for co-creation with target farmers in 5 nature positive landscapes. We'll be identifying and mapping these nature positive landscapes using GIS technology, which as you may come to know or realize that Vihiga is the only county with a GIS lab in Kenya. So we'll be using that very, very handy. It will be handy in assisting us in this area for data analysis, but baseline survey. Then we'll be doing community mobilization and sensitization for establishing circular business models. We'll be recruitment and retraining of farmers along using FFA's approach. We'll be establishing 5 community seed banks. Already one is already in place by the support of Biodiversity International. So we want to replicate this model of Biodiversity International in 4 other sites to make them 5 in total. We want to do value addition to selected African leafy vegetables and agroforestry products and shrubs, particularly bamboo and camphor basili. Then we want to do soil and water conservation to retain soil health and management. And lastly, or last but not least, we want to carry out adaptive research in sustainable agriculture and biodiversity conservation. Those are some of the examples of agroecological practices that we are promoting in agriculture. Those are multi-story gardens. You can see the picture on the left. There is at the initial start. These are mobile units which can be relocated, and they are on sale by these practitioners within Vihiga and Kisumu counties of Kenya. On your right there is a fairly grown-up structure which is about to be harvested for ALV. Next slide is for environment. Environment, they will be doing capacity building through sensitization and training. They'll establish nurseries for agroforestry trees, shrubs. Some of these trees include avocado trees, pawpaws and the like, bamboos, promotion of nature positive climbers, quantification of ecosystem services in the 5 nature positive landscapes I mentioned about, where they'll establish waste sorting and recycling units, and then they'll be doing value addition to non-forestry tree products, especially bamboo and honey and the like. Next slide. You can see in a pictorial manner, there is the rehabilitation of Maragoli Hills in our vicinity using agroecology principles on the left. On the right there is a nature positive intervention on ecotourism. You can see there's somebody who is wishing for a cable car that will interconnect those cable hills, and have an ecotourism package that is part of an agroecology technology in this area. Next is a bamboo. We have these bamboos in Shamakoko area on the left, and then on the right we have this bamboo products. There's a seat there. There's a microphone stand. There are holders. There are beds. All types of furniture from bamboo from Vihiga. Next, please. Then we have the nutrition component. In addition, the last and the last not least There we have capacity building for healthcare providers, community health volunteers through and farmer groups. We will have field demonstrations, workshops at community level. We'll conduct food and nutrition education through radio talks in local stations and hold healthy facility-based talks. Have whole quarterly stakeholder meetings jointly with all partners. Formation of mother and father community groups in the zones. Next slide, please. This is a picture of a team of our staff which went on a benchmarking trip for agri-nutrition and value addition at Maize Foods, Eldoret, who are some of our partners in promoting our farmers. Next, please. In conclusion, I will say that without diversity in our ecosystems, the production of crops, livestock, and fish will not be possible, especially in mitigating the effects of climate change, addressing food security, and rural poverty. In addition, in order for agroecology to be adopted at scale, it will need strong backing from policymakers and stakeholders like my audience in this meeting today. Since agroecology is really not a one-size-fits-all practice, we all have a role to play, and it will be prudent for each one of us to identify which is it and jump into the bandwagon. That will be the end of my presentation. And if you have any comments, please, my address is there, rkbchumba@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chumba, for that well elaborate presentation on agroecology and agrobiodiversity. We will straight ahead go to the plenary for members to give their view and if they have any questions. So allow me to stop the screen share and ask people to raise their hands. If you have a question, you could raise your hand and then we give you this opportunity. So the first one to go is Mr. Baha. Kindly proceed.
Thank you very much, Ndugu Chumba, for that elaborate presentation. I noticed the approach you are employing is farmer field school, and listening to you keenly, I have singled out 3 components: agriculture, environment, and agri-nutrition. I'm not sure how far you've gone in the project, but is there a training manual that was developed to assist the facilitators on the ground to pass this knowledge? Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Baha. Before I go to Mr. Okoth, there's a lady also in our panelist, Lillian Aluso from Biodiversity. So from Biodiversity Alliance, you can also contribute in, but let's go to Mr. Okoth first.
Edwin, James seems to be muted.
James, are you muted? We can okay. Increase the volume of your laptop. Increase the volume. Your microphone, James.
Hello, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
proceed,
I was
please.
having a challenge with the audio here. So I want to say thank you very much to the Secretariat and also to Ruben for the presentation. This is one area that as a farmer field school practitioners, I think we need to begin working on very vigorously. When you look at the present geopolitics that we are having globally, with the different challenges that the food system is beginning to face, I think we have an answer in agroecology, which we have not harnessed very well as part of the long engagement we are having with communities. One area that I would strongly recommend is because as you may all be aware, a lot of work has been done on improving the seed systems, but mainly looking at improved varieties. And somehow we are losing the local land races, which are essential for future breeding, but also for climate change adaptation. So probably one thing that we could also integrate in this program would be safeguarding the local land races, and we can work with the national seed gene banks so that we are able to save some of those varieties of essential nutrition, but also climate change adaptation attributes, which are getting extinct in our communities because of the influx of improved varieties. We used to have a biological corner in the farmer field schools, but lately when I've moved around, many of the field schools no longer have that biological corner, which used to bring on board a number of these other varieties or species of plants that of importance, not just food security, but also important medicinal and all these other things that would be very good in your program. So probably this is something that you could think of. It has no additional financial requirement, but I think it would be very good to integrate. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, James. Two more questions, Kalisa, then Biashara, then we go back to our presenter. Kalisa, then Biashara.
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. First of all, I appreciate the presentation from Ruben. And I have one question about the effectiveness of agroecology for reducing use of pesticide and its application through field school approach. So to know how the pests and disease were managed using this agroecology system for keeping landscape management, and how farmers were used through FFS approach, how was it effective, how was the affecting or improving production, and there is sometimes pest and disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kalisa. So Biashara, and then we go back to our panel, to our presenter. Jane Biashara, unmute yourself.
Thank you, Edwin, and good morning, everybody. Thank you, Ruben, for a nice and elaborate presentation of. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can hear you. Proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfectly.
Proceed, please.
Mute myself.
Proceed.
Good. Okay, thank you, Ruben, for the presentation. And I like the combination of the three components as that have been mentioned by Baha. My keen interest is on the approach for neighborhood. I would like to hear more about how the neighborhood are applying these the agroecological principles to rehabilitate or to regreen their neighborhood. I would love to hear much about it, that you mentioned about the neighbor, make sure that he's taking care to protect the neighbor. I didn't get very, very well. And the other part is looking at the process of changing an agroecology. It takes time. Like, how much is this program planned to take place so that we can be able to see the change in that whole ecosystem. And at the same time, are there like, do you have farm plans that you're using at the farm level for the part of the agriculture which are combining a number of principles to see that change? Is there like a farm plan that the project is following up? Just like Baha asked about the manual. Maybe you can share more about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Chumba and Madam Lillian. Proceed.
Thank you very much. Also, I wish to recognize the presence of Lillian. Maybe you entered when I was talking, maybe. But just to respond to a few of those comments, thank you so much. Before for those comments, they give us many more ideas on how to go forward. But let me clarify one point before I answer, that this initiative I was trying to explain is in the concept stage. In the concept stage, to imply that as soon as we are through with we normally in Kenya here, like now we are doing the final phase of the County Integrated Development Plan, and the next one is starting in August of this year, and it is a 5-year CIDP, County Integrated Development Plan. What we do is that at this stage we normally come up with such ideas, such concepts, and bring them to the table for discussion at the executive level, and also invite the county to do the work plans and budget for activities in collaboration with willing partners. So as we speak, I may want to say that we have those partners I mentioned, most important being or at the forefront being Biodiversity International, whom already they are doing agroecological practices by default. Even some of the practices already happening in the farm, at the farm level, at the peri-urban farm level, at the urban farm level, there are already agroecological practices by default. So what we are trying to do is to harness those practices and bring them into a logical framework in which somebody can be able to appreciate that this is a discipline on its own. For example, this soil conservation, soil and water conservation, nutrition education, awareness creation, this preservation of traditional vegetables. Those are agroecological practices that we really want to just bring them to the forefront of the farmer to think and think positively in a way that it does not undermine those practices already. Now we just want to conserve the indigenous technical knowledge where it is supposed to be done, and also reduce the usage of harmful agrochemicals. And the way to do it is, at this stage, is through awareness creation. That without a healthy soil, without a proper landscape management, there will be no healthy food. And therefore, the population is at risk of consuming contaminated or harmful food, and that is detrimental to their health and their future generation. That kind of message through awareness creation is for us very important at this level, at this stage, when we embark on and making it possible for 100% organic farming. It's not very easy. It's not just a one-off activity. It takes time. This is a long-term activity, and sometimes even changing the feeding habits we might take time to go back to our traditional foods. That is all I can say about the comments from the valuable contributors. And just to finish off with the neighborhood approach is that I mentioned about 5 nature positive landscapes, which are supposed to be identified and which we will be earmarking for intervention in depending on what the community will identify as the agroecological practice. Now, this landscape we are estimating it to be in the range of 50 to 150, 50 to 85 acres as a block, and then it will be having not more than 150 farmers. Each one of them is a brother's keeper, so that whatever you do on your farm is not does not constitute a harmful practice to your neighbor, particularly the ones downstream or the ones on the leeward side of the wind, so that we have a healthy community. This is again through farmer field schools and also through awareness creation. And lastly, these activities, all of them are concurrent. We are not using a manual. Some of these, as I mentioned earlier, are things that are already in fact being practiced. So the only manual we are using is the original FFS concept. But going forward, we might now, after maybe the project period, a manual can come out as just targeting agroecology. But as of now, we are just using first principles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chumba. Maybe you can give Lillian a moment just to say hi, and then we go to Madam Maria. Lillian?
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. Hi, everyone. My name is Lillian Aluso from the Alliance of Biodiversity International and SEAT. Thank you for the opportunity. Ruben has exhausted most of the things. I just wanted to respond on the issue of working with the National Gene Bank. And yes, in the previous projects that we've had, we've worked with the National Gene Bank of Kenya, that is Gary, to not only restore some lost varieties, because they have some varieties that are already lost, especially we started with African leafy vegetables. So we worked with the National Gene Bank to restore some of these varieties back to the community that were already lost. And also introducing some varieties that were not maybe initially in Vihiga, but they are available at the National Gene Bank to see how they perform and how they are received in the county. So yes, we will all continue working with our National Gene Bank to ensure that these varieties are conserved and these varieties are being used. And also on the issue of conserving the indigenous varieties for different crops. For instance, the community seed bank that we have in Vihiga, we set it out specifically to conserve indigenous varieties. And we started with African leafy vegetables, but we've been expanding slowly, moving into beans, moving into sorghum and millet as well. So yes, there are efforts towards conserving indigenous varieties, and the nature positive initiative will build on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Lillian. Hope you'll also share your contacts in the chat so that people can also get in touch with you. Over to you, Madam Maria.
Thank you, Edwin. To the presenters, we are grateful for the presentation. My name is Maria Nakalanda from Regenerate Africa. My concern, all inquiries on agroecology would be, how do we strike a balance between other agricultural practices and getting people to embrace the issue of agroecology? For example, when it comes to an issue that farmers face mostly, we shall find things as pests, infestation, and weeds. So, because we're already dealing with societies that are handling large cases of food insecurities, we are providing solutions to places that are already degraded or intoxicated in a way. And I feel like the reason these other chemical practices come in hand is because they are providing farmers with a quick solution. So to a person that is struggling with perhaps pests affecting their entire farm, or maybe low levels of productivity, how do we front a solution based on agroecological principles that is able to solve the current situation?
Okay, thank you, Madam Maria from Regenerate Africa. Mr. John Paul Opio, you had put your question in the chat box, but you've also raised up your hand. Kindly unmute yourself and proceed. Mr. Opio.
Yes, thank you, Edwin. And thank you, Mr. Chumba, for making us aware about an impending program in Vihiga County, heavily threatened by a lot of risks, as mentioned already. To bring to your attention, you are aware that from pest management to today, resilience pests and landscape management field schools. Of course, to realize a number of desired outcomes. You realize that the East African Field School Hub is a key collaborator to enable you to realize the desired outcome. How do you think that might happen? We thank Edwin for having invited you to share with us your presentation. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Mr. Chumba. We see you are moving around. Is that the practice of agroecology? Can you hear us? Proceed.
No, the environment, I mean, there's a lot of distractions in terms of, you know, so there are a lot of constructions going on, and I was meant to be a quiet place, but I'm sorry. Well, I may not have really done
Chumba is lost.
I think it's the network. Maybe Lillian, you can respond to that, and then we go to Andrew. We have 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. In terms of the question raised about regenerative agriculture and how it is going to work, I think this is more of a lifestyle change that will take time, and it will need more of, you know, capacity building, more of, you know, intensifying these farmer field schools so that people are more aware. And we do not anticipate that it is a quick fix, but rather it is something that will take time to be adopted, but in the long term, it is something that people will come to appreciate. So when we talk of zoning out specific landscapes where we want to start the implementation, it will come in with a lot of capacity building. It will come in with a lot of, follow-up, a lot of monitoring, a lot of, when I talk of capacity building, for instance, integrated pest management, so that people are not running to chemicals all the time. And yeah, it will take time. So we already foresee that, but we are up to the challenge, and we know that in the long term, we'll be able to see some good results. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Andrew Adem.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Ruben and Lillian, for taking us through, plus the hub for always organizing these discussions. I really appreciate the fact that we are setting out to use the Farmer Field School as a way of upscaling agroecology, which I think is it's a great move for us who are interested in Farmer Field School, but also in agroecology. Agroecology is a science, a practice, and a movement. My question is, during the presentation, I appreciated it being presented as the science bit of it, but also the practice. And I was wondering whether the program is also focusing on building the movement, because for the sustainability, I think the movement will be key. So I just want to learn whether that part is also of interest. Thanks.
Over to you, Mr. Chumba, a science and art and a movement. Unmute yourself. Mr. Chumba, unmute. Sharon, unmute Mr. Chumba. Sorry, Mr. Chumba, we are not hearing you. Unmute yourself first. Unmute.
Hello?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, really, thank you so much for those comments. Those are very good comments. The science, the practice, and the movement. The agroecology movement bit is where I think we will really appreciate to be part of such a forum like this East African Business Hub, where like-minded parties can join us, or we can join them, and we do this movement together, because slowly we are seeing an upsurge of interest, especially even the farmers who have this contact with the direct contact with the organizations like Pelham International, Pelham Kenya, Biodiversity. We have these farmers with direct contact with ISFA. We have had a voice coming out of a need for this movement to gain some traction, some roots in all spheres, in all value chains across the spectrum of food security and environment. So we really welcome any advice and, in fact, intervention towards the involvement of Vihiga as a county in an agroecological movement. Finally, as I said, the practical aspect of this concept is already it is taking place, maybe up to around 40–50%. Only that people do not know that they are practicing. Many farmers are not aware that they are practicing agroecology by default. So what we need, what in essence this means is that probably the movement will consolidate what you already know, what you're already doing, and into what is supposed to be done into now a module, some kind of a reference manual or something like this going forward. And we really thank those of us who acknowledge, recognize agroecology as a way of the future.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chumba. We are running short of time. Baha, you have 1 minute, and then we go to Max.
Oh, thank you, Edwin. My question goes to Ruben, regeneration and biodiversity. The youth are not only the future of the leaders of tomorrow, but they are supposed to be the farmers of tomorrow. I was wondering, what is the place of the youth in this program? Over to you, Edwin.
Yeah, I know Lillian is listening, but we have this youth in agriculture as a component of several projects, and when we go into those clusters, those nature positive landscapes, of course, when we are doing community mobilization and sensitization, we normally involve youth, women, the vulnerable, and even people with disabilities in trying to reach out to them for purposes of implementing some of the initiatives that will come out of this business model, this cyclic business model. So the youth have they have an assured presence in this project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chumba. Thank you, Madam Lillian. Thank you, participants. We will continue this discussion on our social media handles and also on the forum. So, Madam Odile, I saw your hand. You can say one thing and invite Max. Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. Yeah, this is to say to Mr. Ruben, thank you for this interesting presentation and topic. Yeah, that must be our focus as a field school practitioner, as said Okoth. And regarding to field school manual, I would share with you, Chumba, I will share a manual elaborated by FAO on agroecology and the field school FFS approach. It can be useful for you to set experiential plot with farmer field school groups. Thank you. Over to you, Max.
Our very sincere and delightful appreciation to Ruben for sparing time to prepare and present this very important topic on agroecology in the context of field schools. Thank you so very much with your team. We really appreciate, and we thank all the teams here for the participation, but also for the active participation. Agroecology seems to be bouncing back. It is already back. We used to do this a lot when James was taking us in agroecological analysis and all the ISS. But now I think this is a new dimension in terms of the development world. And that is how agriculture always has to deal with the issues. So I think this repositions ourselves also to rethink and also adapt our tools, even if they are already available, to the new context in which agroecology is practiced I love the way Andrew has put it as a science, art practice, but also a movement. Therefore, I think as from the field school fraternity, we should be the teams championing this kind of movement to get our people to, again, think very logically on the agroecology. So I want to say thank you so very much for today. Let's continue. Ruben, be on a standby. We may want to bring you back around the same topic, but with a wider audience. So with this, I wish all of us a very good day, and let's keep in touch. Together, we are in this. Thank you. So we go for the photo, the normal culture of the field school hub, and the field school for the photos.
So we'll allow everybody now. You can unmute your video and your microphone for our last photo for recording. And thank you, everybody. Yeah. Mr. Narcisse, Madam Victoria, Mr. Charles Tumuhe, continue joining this platform, and we want to share more and more. Andrew Adem, thank you so much. And Mr. Gustavs, Muli, we honor and cherish your presence. Yeah. Who else has not put a picture? Lillian, we need to see your picture. Kalisa.
Yeah.
And let's continue this discussion on our social media platform. We are available on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We need those scholarly articles and good research on agroecology. We will post them for you. Mr. Oscar Ngasi.
Oscar, could you put it, and Gustav, don't worry, you can show only the face. You don't need to show the shirt.
Well, Mr.
Just do like POJP, is only showing the beard. He doesn't want to show the shoulder. The man is this in the field.
Okay. Charles, and then we are done. Yeah. So thank you so much, Mr. James Okoth. We treasure your presence.
Thanks, Sana. Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. You can end the meeting. Sharon, over to
bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.